Yes, now we can see you, Jagriti.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You are Jagriti or Jagriti?
It is spelled as Jagriti, but my name is Jagriti.
So I was wondering because the Hindi word is Jagriti, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
So will you please tell us a bit about yourself? You are a BTech from Maulana Azad Engineering College, National Institute of Technology, Bhopal. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So just tell us briefly about yourself, then we will proceed with the interview.
My name is Jagriti Awasthi. I belong to Bhopal. I have completed my BTech in Electrical Engineering from Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology. I cleared GATE in 2017 and secured an All India rank 51. Through GATE, I joined BHEL Bhopal as an engineer. I worked there for 2 years and then I left my job to prepare for this examination.
So, having acquired such a prestigious professional degree and having worked for 2 years with BHEL, don't you think all your knowledge and all your expertise will be going down the drain once you join the civil services?
No, sir. I think I'll be able to use my knowledge and expertise in a wider set of services if I join civil services. My knowledge of electrical engineering and my knowledge of purchasing activities, which I learned in BHEL Bhopal, I'll be able to put them in a wider set of activities.
For instance, just give us an example. Say you are a district magistrate. How will your knowledge of electrical engineering help you in delivering your services to the society?
Since I'll be having certain technical expertise over the subject, electrification, then reducing commercial losses in electricity sector, proper billing, and pushing on renewable energy, educating people about its technical advantages, I'll be able to add my own bit to the subject, sir.
Provided your district has power, provided there is, what percentage of Indian villages have electricity today?
Sir, I'm not completely aware of the data.
Okay, and the name of your institute is Maulana Abul Kalam Azad National Institute of Technology. What do you know about Maulana Abul Kalam?
Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, he was born in Makkah and he had both religious education as well as liberal education. He was a pioneering figure of Hindu-Muslim unity, especially in the face of demand for partitioning of India into two nations. He also served as the president of Indian National Congress and participated in important negotiations. Post-independence, he became the education minister and he laid his focus upon higher education as well as primary education.
What were his relationships like with Mahatma Gandhi, Pandit Nehru, and also Subhash Chandra Bose?
So, as far as I'm aware, he had a good relationship with Pandit Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi. But his relationship with Subhash Chandra Bose was not a very cordial or closer one.
Why? Why was that?
Subhash Chandra Bose's emphasis on use of even radical means in the pursuit of freedom, like engaging with Germany or his use of force during Indian National Army. So he was not very convinced about such measures.
I mean, are you just making a guess or have you read about it, about his relationship with Bose?
Sir, I haven't read specifically about his relationship, but based on my reading of modern history, this is my understanding.
He wrote a very important book. Are you aware of that?
India Wins Freedom.
Have you read that book?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Rai?
Morning, Jagati.
Morning, sir.
So you worked for BHEL,
Sir.
but you were selected for ONGC, Indian Oil Corporation as well. What is the mode of selection by these companies? How do they make the selections?
Sir, based on the score of GATE examination, they invited us for interviews. And based on those interviews, combined with the GATE score, a merit list was prepared.
Since when has the GATE model been introduced for the PSUs?
Sir, it was around 2014-15.
So BHEL, is that you are aware of the division of these companies into schedules?
Sir, Maharatna, Navratna.
They are not the schedules. Schedules are on another parameter, and they begin with a schedule A. BHEL is a schedule A company.
I'm not aware of that, sir.
Does it have a subsidiary as well?
Yes, sir, it does have a subsidiary.
And does it also have a joint venture with some company?
It has a joint venture with Bharat Earth Movers Limited for coach manufacturing, and I'm not aware about other ventures.
What is a joint venture?
When two companies come together to establish a dedicated enterprise for a particular goal.
Is there an ownership pattern also associated with it?
Sir, I'm not aware.
You belong to Chhatarpur.
Sir, I belong to Bhopal. I was born in Chhatarpur.
Born in Chhatarpur. That's a beautiful place. It's very close to Khajuraho.
Yes, sir. 17 kilometers.
Yeah, I've been there. So now tell me, what is the outstanding architecture pattern of Khajuraho? What is the pattern?
So they have beautiful Nagara style temples, and it is also defined as the climax of Nagara style of architecture, multiple shikhars and giving a mountain like view on using the sandstone. So, and also erotic sculptures on the walls of the temples are a distinct feature.
Which god finds special mention in the special place in the complex?
Kandariya Mahadev, Lord Shiva's temple is important there.
Very good. So that takes us. Your ECA extracurricular activities speaks of public speaking. On what subjects do you normally focus on?
So I like speaking about social issues around me, especially regarding women.
How do you find your target group, your audience?
So it is usually wherever I am professionally associated. For example, if I was in my college, it would be my college mates. If I was at BHEL, then different sections like there were contract laborers, contract women laborers. So they had their get-togethers. I would get to speak there. Then my colleagues. So I usually find my target group around myself.
Okay. What is public speaking something to do with, or is it in any way associated, or do you find any connection between public speaking and TED? Are you aware of the
TED Talks? Yes, sir.
Yes.
TED Talks platform.
Do they have a specific time associated with the TED speaking? Is there a time limit fixed to it?
I don't know about time limit, but whatever videos I have seen, they are of differing durations. So I don't think there is a strict time limit. There are multiple.
Who is the founder of it? Who founded this event?
I do not know, sir.
Okay. What is so special about Bundelkhandi music?
So Bundelkhandi music specifically deals with the local issues, and it has great social messages.
So it means you are attracted towards folk music. That is it. That is perhaps you mean.
So folk music.
Yeah.
Yes, I like folk music, and since I belong to Chhatarpur, I have grown up listening to these kind of music.
Which is the language used for in these forms, music forms?
So it is Bundeli dialect, locally spoken language.
How many dialects are spoken in Madhya Pradesh?
So I'm not aware about number,
Okay,
but I can name some if you want, sir.
no, it's okay. What are the dominating features of the caste system in India? Dominating features.
Sir, in the present context, caste system has become a very dynamic concept, and within caste, class has made its appearance. So now, for example, in the case of intercaste marriages, especially between those that are hierarchically placed apart, so class plays a dominant role. Then, even in occupations, we are seeing that in certain class of occupations like sanitation workers, the representation of one particular caste is disproportionately higher. And reservation benefits also, which were meant to make this caste system more egalitarian, it has only benefited a few members. And thereby, this has created more caste class dynamics in today's context.
But is there somewhere some convergence now between the caste and the class in the modern Indian context?
Yes, sir.
Where do you find them? At what level? Is it at the bottom level?
No, sir, it is more in the other backward classes, the castes which come in those categories, there we find it more because dominant castes, they have taken the advantage of their economical position to rise up the even ritual hierarchy. Like Yadavas in UP, they have gained political and financial power, economic power, and now they are being equated with the Rajputs in the local caste hierarchy. So they have crossed that barrier now. Some of them at least.
I don't think the Rajputs will be too happy to hear this. But anyway, one more point on this. What is social mobility?
Sir, movement from one social strata to the other is called as social mobility.
From okay, okay. Is there only a horizontal mobility or a vertical mobility as well? Or
So there can be both horizontal and vertical mobility.
can you give an example of a horizontal mobility?
Sir, a teacher who was working in a college, he gets a job as he applies for some job and gets it in terms of a professor, but the pay scale is not very different. So it will be a horizontal mobility.
Okay. What is social stratification?
Division of society into multiple stratas based in attributes.
Can you name two sociologists who have written widely on these on the social stratification?
Sir, functionalist Javis and Moore and Karl Marx.
Did Max Weber also speak about this?
Yes, sir, Max Weber has also
Yeah.
written about it.
What is the functional theory? What is the latent functions as per Robert Morton?
So latent functions are those which are neither intended nor anticipated, but they are present whenever an action is taking place.
And a manifest function?
Manifest function is both which is intended and also it is anticipated by the actor in the question. And it can be objectively studied and observed.
Yes, that is very important. What are the different modes or techniques of data collection?
Sir, for quantitative studies, there can be surveys or guided interviews. And for qualitative, there is participant observation and document uh, biographical readings and field studies. These can be.
Okay. Uh, how do you distinguish Anulom from Pratilom?
Anulom is a marriage in which the girl belongs to a lower caste relative to the boy, whereas in a Pratiloma marriage, the girl belongs to a relatively higher caste as compared to the groom or the boy concealed.
Do the Khap Panchayats are they in approval of the such marriages?
No, sir. Kha panchayats are they are very specific about the caste dynamics, and even the subcaste concepts like gotra also are very important to them. So they believe in a strictly religiously sanctioned scheme of marriages.
What is a Gotra?
So gotra is an Indian concept whereby it is believed that all of us have descended from a set of sages, and thereby we belong to the same so we are pseudo siblings, that marriage is not possible between same gotra since they have descended from the same mythological character,
Yes.
so a group of such people.
So perhaps they share the same cowshed as well.
Yes, sir, cowshed. Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, now, a question that I would like you to attempt is, you did make an attempt. I mean, a question was put by the chairman to you, but once again, how do you view a civil servant, an ideal civil servant, and how do you fit into that role?
So at ideal civil servants, some qualities which I identify with are empathy, so that it is easier to understand these social issues and act on them in a better manner. Integrity, so as to use the public resources in the best possible manner. Hardworking and positive attitude, so that it is a solution oriented attitude. These are some qualities that I relate with an ideal civil servant. And so leadership as well, leadership, attributes
Yes,
of leadership.
I just mentioned that you forgot to perhaps. No, now the other part of the question: how do you fit into these expectations?
Sir, empathy, while I was working with BHEL, I was a permanent employee there, but I could relate with the issues of contract laborers, especially women, regarding the availability of fan seating arrangements, whether their children had crash availabilities or not. So I could relate with it, and I also worked with them to make their applications heard. So I would write their applications, help them frame their requests. So I would do that. So I'm an empathetic person. Leadership, I represented my class in my college as a member of Electrical Engineering Association, voicing the concerns. So integrity, I haven't engaged in any act which I look upon in my life that I had cheated on someone or even with myself. So I think I have been an integral person, and therefore I think, and hardworking, sir. I have if it was my studies or my activities, I have been a consistent performer. So I think I fit into these categories.
Okay. Now, do you know who the CMD of BHEL is? The name of the CMD.
Sir, I'm not aware. It's just some single. He was changed.
Who
When
was
I was, yes, sir, when I was there, it was Mr. Atul Sopti,
Atul
and
Sopti?
yes, sir, now he's changed. Some IRTS officer had come.
Yeah. Where has Mr. Sopti gone?
Sir, 2019.
No, where has he gone now?
So I'm not aware of that. So.
He's become a DG. Okay, now I would also like to get your views on community development programs. How far have they influenced the rural and the agrarian transformation?
So, community development programs were meant to capitalize on the village solidarity, which was believed to exist in the rural India. they have not been very effective in transforming the rural landscape, especially social landscape. For example, if there would be some project regarding hand pumps or tube wells, they would be majorly located around the areas where the upper caste were residing. So influential people have cornered the benefits. The mindset of the bureaucracy at that time was more uh, about legal and administrative accountability rather than social accountability. So, as some sociologists have also mentioned, that service mentality was somewhere missing. It was more of a legal and administrative approach towards the thing, and in transforming agrarian ones, uh, some of the benefits have been made regarding the availability of farm inputs like fertilizers and seeds in a collective fashion. But to further develop it in terms of food processing enterprises or cottage enterprises, especially for the people who are in the bottom rungs of the class and caste dynamics, it has not benefited them much, and they have been forced to migrate towards city in the search of casual labor. So it has been a mixed response.
There's search for jobs in the cities. Uh, what would you attribute the main factor for migration from rural areas to the urban areas?
So in the context of jobs and employment,
Yes.
uh, sir, farming is not as profitable as it was since the prices have now changed and there's bulk production. So farming is not very profitable. Further, the landless laborers and tenant farmers, they also do not find sustainable employment in the villages. So they also come for casual labor. Rural enterprises and cottage industry have not developed well enough, and even where they exist, proper markets do not exist for them, so they are unable to make profits out of them. And high skilled employment is not available in rural India. So if those who get proper education, they want to move to the cities in search of well paid jobs.
So that is the job part of it, employability. Other factors apart from jobs?
So health and education are two major factors.
Yeah.
And still in rural India, and the COVID-19 pandemic has further laid bare the state of health infrastructure in rural India. And education facilities are also not available at higher levels. So they have to come. Some people also come to cities in the hope of a more inclusive living. Since the dynamics of these caste discrimination are not as present in cities as compared to the rural part. So they also come here for a more inclusive sense of living.
But that would be true, or that would be correct in the case of the lower caste. The upper
Yes,
caste perhaps would like to stay back, thinking that their position is secured in the rural areas.
but
No?
the health education
Yes.
and demand for more high skilled, well paid jobs, such things attract them.
In Madhya Pradesh, there is, I think Ujjain. Yes, Ujjain was the second time running. They got the prize for the cleanest city in the country.
Sir, Indore, I guess.
Indore got it.
Yes, sir.
There was the contribution of a particular of a civil servant, a district magistrate. What was the contribution he made towards this, towards cleanliness?
Sir, I'll have to read about that.
He developed an app whereby anybody could, any dirt lying anywhere could simply through the app send it, and that would be monitored by himself personally. So that's what.
I'll read on that, sir.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Suppose you were posted in a tribal district in Madhya Pradesh. How would you look at the emerging scenario there? The pronounced violence, the people losing faith in the governance. That is how they are going towards the Marxist philosophy. How do you look at it, and what are the solutions you can suggest?
Sir, I would take a two-pronged approach towards it. Those who are resorting to militant means and taking up violent means, they have to be immediately curbed. Law and order has to be maintained. Then the other approach would be of development. Development, especially inclusive development, where it is on their own terms and not on the terms dictated by the government or the administrative machinery. Setting up with them and asking their demands from the government. What do they expect from us? And then we uh, empowering and strengthening their local representative bodies and improving our reach towards them. Technology can be used. WhatsApp and Telegram kind of social messaging apps can be used for quickly receiving their complaints and acknowledging them so that they develop a sense of trust. Their enterprise, their culture has to be respected. So tribal festivals can be held and people from the administrative machinery can participate in them to acknowledge their importance towards country's overall cultural heritage. Health has to be improved, especially among tribals. There are many misplaced notions and concepts regarding health. They have to be tackled, and they can only be tackled if we sit down with them, listen to them, and then correct it. Dictating vaccine workers to just go there and administering vaccines won't work. We have to work on their hesitancy. Improving education, tribal languages can be used to teach, especially in the primary level, to retain them in these schools. Such steps I'll be taking, and also enterprises and small industries using tribal expertise and giving market to them.
Use of tribal languages has been found to be isolating the tribes and preventing their integration into the mainstream. Don't you think the language would be an issue?
So it can be used as a transitioning phenomena. We can take up tribal language along with one other language, like at least make them aware of the subject in tribal language. Once they become comfortable, we can slowly introduce one other language. Like when in Hindi medium schools, English is also gradually introduced. So we can have that kind of phenomena whereby after 3 years of primary schooling, introduce another language. Once they become comfortable with the subject, they might be comfortable learning it in other language as well. So it would be a process to reach them out, using it as a bridge.
Jagati, my last question to you. Tell me something about, how would you showcase Madhya Pradesh to a complete stranger, to a foreigner?
Sir, I'll tell him that Madhya Pradesh, which literally means the central state, geographically center, and it is rich in forest resources. It has a variety of picturesque features like waterfalls, mountains, biosphere reserves, a very rich faunal diversity. It has tribal culture, which has been preserved through culture, various festivals, like, and also we have a lot of tribal markets and these things. Further, religious places of religious importance like Ujjain, Amarkantak, these are located in Madhya Pradesh. One of the earliest architectural monuments, like of Gupta period, of modern period, they are present in Madhya Pradesh. So, and also technologically, we have IT park in Indore, Pitampura, which is developing electronics industry, Mandideep, which has electrical industry. So Madhya Pradesh is a mix of many cultures, many people living together, and it has preserved its history from ancient times till today.
Perhaps I would have also added, or now that I'll remind you, you agree, you forgot to mention the cuisines, you forgot to mention
Yes.
the music. You have it in the ECA, but here you forgot perhaps the tiger reserves.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned Ujjain, but you forgot Indore. I mean, Jyotirlings.
Jyotirling, yes, yes.
So that way, you could have showcased it as a unique. Then you forgot the perhaps the where does the Tropic of Cancer,
Capricorn,
Capricorn, it passes
Tropic of
through
Cancer, Tropic of
Cancer,
Cancer, sir. Yes, sir.
passes through somewhere
Yes,
near
sir.
Bhopal,
Vidisha, yes, sir.
Vidisha. So those are
I,
specific and specific only to Madhya Pradesh. So
yes,
these are
sir.
areas I thought you would mention if you get an opportunity, if you get a question on this, do mention the uniqueness of it through these, the tiger reserves. How many tiger reserves you have in Madhya Pradesh?
I'm not aware of the numbers, sir.
That's very important for you to.
Yes, sir.
Then is there some, what is the forestation of in Madhya Pradesh?
Forest area, sir.
Area, yeah. And
So
percentage.
it is around 30%, sir.
What is the national average? What is the desired average?
We desire to be at 33% of the total geographical area. Presently, it is around 21-22%.
Where does Madhya Pradesh figure in the population chart?
Sir, it is 8th or 9th most populous state.
And
I mean,
in terms of area, geographically,
it is, I think it is second largest.
but you could also have mentioned the geographical part, the uniqueness, the lakes, the mountains.
Yes, sir, lakes.
They are
Yes, sir.
unique to Madhya Pradesh. You won't find them anywhere. Panchgari and those areas that. Okay, so with this, Arvind Mohan Saab, will you take over, please?
Yes. Good morning, Jagriti.
Good morning, sir.
You are able to hear me properly?
Excuse me, sir, please.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Now, Jagriti, you were selected for ONGC, IOCL, and BHEL. What made you choose BHEL?
Sir, I had my BTech in electrical engineering. IOCL and ONGC are more concerned with oil-related activities. So mechanical engineering finds more application, while in BHEL, exclusively electrical appliances, electrical machinery was being manufactured. So it is exclusive electrical engineering could be utilized.
So you were very passionate about this electrical thing.
Yes, sir. When I graduated, I was passionate about electrical engineering.
But then why did you leave BHEL?
So while
You
working,
could have gone much ahead with given your passion and your, I would say, merit level.
sir, while working with BHEL, I started exploring people and activities around me, and slowly my interest started diverging towards social activities. As I mentioned, women issues of the laborers who are working there, such things interested me more. And I also discovered that civil services would give me a wider scope and opportunity to participate in the inclusive development of the country in a more direct manner. With BHEL, I would also be able to contribute to the country through dividends that the company earns or by technology development. But my participation would be more direct, and I'll be able to touch more sections of the society through this service.
Do you think it's necessary to be a civil servant to do social service? There are many social service people who have done great things, but they were never civil servants.
Yes, sir, I agree. Many NGOs and civil societies, they are working towards social services. But as far as civil services is considered, it is a more institutionalized manner, and I may be able to make a long-term institutional impact. And I'll be having all the opportunities that the government can give me. So I'll be able to make an impact in a better manner. So
Okay. Now, it is said that India is right now in a state of demographic dividend. So, what is this demographic dividend?
the demographic dividend is a stage of population dynamic whereby the working population, the ratio of working population in a country is more than the dependent population.
So, are we really reaping the benefits of this demographic dividend?
Sir, in my opinion, there we are not able to realize the full potential that this dividend offers to us, since the unemployment is high and the share of highly skilled employment is still lesser even in those who are employed.
Any reason where we lacked that we could not do this? We could have planned for it in some way. What we could have done, in your opinion?
Sir, I would like to answer it in two parts. One would be preparing this demography. It would be investment into health and education. So once they are healthy, the workforce will be more productive. In health indicators, undernutrition and in terms of wasting and stunting is still high in India. So the productivity is still not utilized properly. And education, we need to reform it as per the global demands and the market scenario. Our syllabus needs to be recalibrated from rote learning to entrepreneurial mindset. We have to reskill ourselves. Activities, fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, they are the rising sectors. So we need to focus more there. And uh, once we have prepared them, we need to utilize them. So in the utilization part, we need to create more technology centric jobs. We are creating through private participation in space, etc., but they are not enough for a country that which is the scale of India. And then startups and these things, they have not reached the rural landscape where majority of population still resides. So we have to reach the remote areas as well. These two things I think we need to work upon.
Do you think the new education policy has addressed some of these concerns in some way?
Yes, sir, they have introduced some good reforms like vocational education, experiential learning, and industry academia linkages in colleges, and also mid-entry and mid-exit in courses to make it more flexible. They have social security fund. They have a social inclusion fund, something like that, to improve gender and other underprivileged sections. But all this needs funds, and our spending on education is still not as much as it needs to be for these things.
Okay. Now, what are the other stages of demographic transitions you are aware of?
Sir, one is the aging society, whereby the share of elderly is more, like in Japan, and
There are
one
two
is
stages prior to dividend stage.
prior to dividend, high birth rate
Yes. High birth rate,
and high birth rate and high death rate.
that was the pre-development stage.
Yes, sir,
Then comes the
pre-development stage.
second
Then
stage when
high birth rate, low death rate, and then
that is
stabilization.
population explosion.
That is population explosion.
Okay.
Then then low birth rate, low death rate, but birth rate is still is more than the death rate. So that is population growth, but in a steady manner. And then there is low birth rate, low death rate, and both are low enough, like the advanced economies.
Okay.
And further, there can be a condition where birth rate is lower than the death rate. So there would be an aging economy or an aging society.
Fine. Now, we were talking about this dividend, and we said that there is a lot of unemployment. That is why we are not able to reap this dividend. So, why do you think the big manufacturing activity, which would have provided this employment, did not take place in India?
Yes, the manufacturing base in India is not has not reached its potential, and so I think these stringent labor laws, land related laws, they were unable to invite the foreign industries into India at the right time. Further, in our pre-LPG era, there were very restrictive laws which did not allow the growth of industries beyond a particular limit. And also, there was a lot of licensing requirement. So, smaller industries could not develop that easily. Further, sir, the labor laws, they were very, in the pre-LPG era and before these labor reforms were introduced, there were a plenty of laws and compliance was difficult. So it promoted contractualization of labor and the low skill base of labor as well. So the industrialists, they have favored capital intensive industrialization rather than labor intensive industrialization, since the skill base was not up to date.
Another reason is that we straight away moved from agriculture to service.
Services, yes, sir.
We gave a go by to manufacturing, which was the
Yes, sir.
intermediate stage.
Yes, sir. We did
But,
not.
Why did this happen? We straight away went from primary activity, which was agriculture, to service sector, and the normal way the other countries developed, we did not develop that way. Any particular reason behind that?
Sir, after the 1991 LPG reforms, the developed economies were they were outsourcing a lot of this business processing activities. So it created a market for these services, and India had a population.
That means we had enough of skilled population to take that opportunity. So we can't say that we did not have skilled people and that's why we are not reaping the demographic dividend.
So we had skilled people, but these IT industry activities, they are skill intensive, and their requirement of people is not very large. They can work even with few skilled people, while in manufacturing they require a large supply of workforce, which is not the case. So it is a skill intensive and only a few people are required, but not very labor intensive as such.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's unmute कर लीजिएगा.
I should leave, sir.
No.
Yeah.
We'll give you feedback. Interview is over. Now we'll
Okay,
give you our feedback.
Sir.
So, Jagriti, you spoke well, very composed. 2-3 points that I should bring to your notice,
Yes, sir.
that came to my notice, that I could call either shortcomings or whatever. I mean, you need to strengthen them. One was your knowledge of companies. Since you
Yes,
work
sir.
in a Schedule A company, you should be more well versed, because that would attract some questions. That could attract questions because not too many candidates for the civil services are coming with this background. So that would perhaps be a point that could get attracted to their knowledge. That is one.
Yes, sir.
Schedules. How many schedules? There are 4 schedules: A, B, C, D. A has a unique characteristic in the sense that it has a level 9 post. That sort of, I mean, because some of these board members could have a background of these CPSCs, so that is one. Then you were halting in replies to 2 areas that came to my notice, that I'll just bring to your notice now. One is Anulom Pratilom. You halted. So you gave the correct answer. I must say you gave the correct answer. But suppose you had first internalized the question, thought of what you are going to say, and then started to speak, then that halt would not have happened.
Yes.
That is all. That is all that I wanted to say about
Yes,
this.
sir.
And the other area that I saw, again the same thing, is that in the demographic dividends, Arvind Mohan Saab asked you on that. There also you were halted at places because you went ahead answering the question, then you realized that something. Yes, so that is it. It would give a better flow. Now on the migration, since you were talking about the agricultural sector, perhaps disguised unemployment would have found a mention. I mean, these are just technical terms that you said everything. There was nothing lacking. I repeat, there was nothing lacking, but these words, these terms will ring a correct sort of message.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then in Chhatarpur, when I asked you all about Madhya Pradesh, of course I mentioned that you could have highlighted 3 or 4 more areas which are very unique to Madhya Pradesh,
Yes, sir.
like your tiger reserves, Panna, your diamond mines, which are unique to your state. I would not
Yes,
like
sir.
to know things that I find in other states as well. What is specific to your areas, to the Chhatarpur and to Madhya Pradesh, and that should come out with a passion, to show that you belong to that place, you were born there, and you hold that place in that sort of close to your heart. Now, the last one, the second last rather, as a civil servant, there was a question to you as to why you did not go ahead with your with other with social activists, for
Yes,
instance,
sir.
and why the civil services. Because there are some, especially in Madhya Pradesh, there are some areas where only a civil servant can access. For instance, the inaccessible tribal areas. So there, I don't think the NGOs are very welcome over there. So there, the civil servant would make a larger impact. As a civil servant, you would like to impact the lives of these people who you feel are neglected and need to be. Then the last answer, of course, Chairman Sahab also will point this out, but let me, on Gandhi and others, Mahatma Gandhi and others, mention the areas, not their personal connect with them, but more than that, the areas on which there was divergence, where there was convergence. For instance, the moderates, the extremists, the revolutionaries, there were differences in approach, there was differences in vision, strategy, mission, everything. So those areas you need to focus, where Gandhiji disagreed or disapproved of the methods of the revolutionaries or the extremists. Okay, that's about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Jagriti, as Rai sir has already pointed out, you need to give a better reply as far as choice of your IAS is concerned. And I think Neeraj sir will have something to say about that when he is giving his feedback. And regarding the other things, you are, as Rai sir has said, you knew the things, but you could not structure your answer properly. So my advice is that you take a 3-second pause and try to see what the panel member is actually expecting from you. Structure your answer in short points, because your
Yes, sir.
answers, they are tending to be very long.
Yes, sir.
And so long that at times the panel member may actually lose interest. Okay, so you
Yes,
have
sir.
to give them in short bullet points kind of a thing. Wherever they ask you to elaborate, you can, so that the interest remains in your answer. Otherwise, sometimes the interest is not there, and you are speaking, but the person who is listening, he may not be interested in listening so much. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that thing you have to take care. And lastly, regarding that transition from agriculture to service sector straight away by giving a bypass to manufacturing, one very important thing is that manufacturing activity requires a lot of capital, and at that time we were short of capital. It was not something we actually, the circumstances dictated us to move like that, and we have enough of skilled power, but we did not have capital. That's why
Yes,
we
sir.
moved to that straight away.
Yes,
And
sir.
we became a, I would say, a kind of powerhouse in service sector in the world. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, Jagriti, before I give you overall feedback, I would request you to give your feedback on how you felt about your performance and about the interview today.
Yes, sir. I felt that I need to be more shorter and structured. And also regarding these technical things, like you asked me rural electrification. So at least regarding electrical parameters, since is my subject, I should be well versed. And as sir said, I should collect my points together. So which I felt, and more reading on companies, since I couldn't answer related to it.
On a scale of 10, where will you rate yourself?
A 7.
Yes, your performance, was 7, but I think you easily have the potential to reach 8.5 or 9 with a relative amount of ease. You can reach that level because your articulation is very good because you are a public speaker. You know the basics of public speaking. That was very clear in your answers. You have a very pleasant presence. Uh, you exude a lot of confidence. Uh, Before you answer a question, you do pause, take a few moments to think, and then speak. But as you rightly pointed out about electrification projects in India and the percentage of electrification, and for instance, there is a certain village in Manipur which is considered to be the last village to have been electrified. Then, what is the criteria by which we say that a certain village is electrified? Are you aware of this?
No, sir.
So, if all public institution in a village like the school or gram panchayat and all the government premises and 10% of rural household are electrified, then the village is considered electrified. And right now, the government claims that about 98% of our villages are electrified. So you have to know everything about our electrification programs, our power sector, wattage, what is the per capita power consumption, what does it show, and everything you have to know. Your answers on Maulana Azad were quite impressive. And on the whole, I feel you have a great potential. Everything, is this the dress you're planning to wear to the interview?
No, sir.
Huh.
I'll wear a sari or
Okay. Yeah, so we forgot to make you enter through a door because we wanted to see you, how you'll walk in, how you will wish, and how you will wait to be seated. Because a number of candidates, what they do is they come and quietly take their seat. You softly knock on the door, ask, may I come in? Somebody will say, please come in. You come into the room, come closer to the table, wish everybody, good afternoon, sirs, or good morning, sirs. And then you wait. Somebody will say, please sit down, Jagriti. And then you sit down. So this is a drill about which you should have no doubt. Today also you are dressed quite soberly. Even if you dress up like this, it is fine. But it is much better if you wear a light colored sari to the interview. That gives the feeling of formality. And this thing about civil servants, why should an engineer become a civil servant or not become a civil servant? Is there any harm? This question is, of course, bound to be asked. Now, the correct, or I should say, the most acceptable way to deal with this situation is that, a civil servant has an overview of the entire area of development. It is not only, say, electrification. At best, what you can contribute as an electrical engineer is in the area of electrification or in the area of power, directly or indirectly. But if you are a civil servant, you have a wider, control over the development factors. And your knowledge of civil engineering has given you of electrical engineering has given you a certain training of mind, a certain scientific temper, and that also a sense of applied sciences. Engineering is an applied science. You know what the issues are. So, as your knowledge on your training as an electrical engineer will actually help you compared to somebody who has, say, studied geography or history or some other subject, an electrical engineer will be able to deliver much better because of his training of mind. And don't go into that you will, at a district level, as a district magistrate, you will go about checking what percentage of households have this and power connectivity. That is not what the district magistrate ever does, and nor will you do. Of course, you will be concerned about the electrification in your district, but it is the concerted an overall growth of the district that you will be in charge of. And with an engineering background, you are far better equipped to do your job than others. Any other point, Mr. Rai and Mr. Mohan?
Yes, that's okay. It's covered.
Okay. So we wish you any last question that you might like to ask, Jagriti?
No, sir. I'll work on these points.
Yeah. So what I suggest is that you make out a list of subjects which are likely to be asked. For instance, whatever we have told you, demographic dividend, about public sector undertaking, public sector vis-a-vis private sector, Madhya Pradesh, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, his role in freedom struggle. If you also quickly get hold of the book and read it, it's a very thin book. You will just finish it in 2 or 3 sittings. You will know a little more about the freedom struggle. Then all the current affairs like the Israeli-Palestine conflict, the CAA, the farmers' protest. So make out a list of the questions that might be asked. And on each issue, you have a few bullet points, as was pointed out by Mr. Arvind Mohan. Just have bullet points ready, and your answers should confine yourself to those little points, because nobody is going into great detail in these things. I think you have done very well, and you have the potential with a bit of focused preparation to do much better. As a personality test, you have done brilliantly. Your knowledge base can improve a little bit. That is it. Okay. All the best to you.
Thank
God
you,
bless
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Jagriti.
sir.
All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Thank you,
just
sir.
keep in view, Jagriti, just one that during the interview, you must engage all the board members. So you must keep looking at all of them in turn, the same way that the questioner has, you are engaging the questioner, not just him.
Yes, sir.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye.